What's up, everybody? We are live. Hold up. This is Daniel Barrett here from betterquestionsemail.com. Every week, one email, mental models, productivity, and more. Today, I want to talk about ideas because I had someone email me, actually kind of reach out, ask about kind of where to come up with ideas. And in fact, when you agree to yourself that you're going to go live every day, as I am doing right now, you have to come up with ideas for stuff to talk about. And it can be a little challenging, right? It's like, and look, no matter what you're doing, if you're starting a business or you are making art or you're planning a party or anything, right? You need ideas because you need to sort of create within the context of that project or that goal or that ideal. So how do you come up with those ideas and do it consistently over time? Well, like many things, it is less complicated than most people think it is, I think, and probably a little bit harder than most people think it is. But for me, there's two real core components here that I think are important to know. One is just where ideas really come from. And I mean, where they really come from when you have to consistently come up with new ideas, let's say for a living, or you've got to do that routinely on the job or whatever. So where do ideas really come from? And then two, we got to think about capture. So let's talk about the first part first, because that makes sense, right? Talk about the first part first. Let's talk about where ideas really come from. We have a sort of primordial creativity myth here in Western culture, whatever you want to call that, that ideas emerge fully formed, from the primordial soup, and the muse reaches down and says, "Here you go, here's your idea," and bam, you're off to the races, right? And it's some kind of magical, mystical process by which we are gifted an idea. And what I will say, and this is, look, I'm basing this off my own experience. I'm basing this off the people that I work with. And I've kind of worked with a significant number of people who want to do sort of creative work in the context of my Art of Mastery program, which if you want to check it out, it's masterywithdan.com. So Mastery with Dan. But I literally teach people, right, how to come up with ideas and be creative and teach and sort of make that lifelong learning and creativity a real part of their lives. And one of the things that I've kind of seen over and over and over again is that ideas don't emerge fully formed. Like, they're not gifted to us from the muse, right? What happens is that we connect or create connections or see connections between sort of separate fields of knowledge, right? So one of the most common ones is you're making a connection between something in your own experience and something, let's say, in your industry or in the experience of someone else, right? So like if you're talking to a friend and they're telling a story about how, I applied to college and I didn't get in, and you're like, you know what? I went through something just like that, in middle school and blah, 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 blah. And you're connecting these two different ideas. Well, that's an idea. This connection of these two things, that's new, right? No one made that before. No one knew that before. It's a new thing in the universe. You're taking these two disparate elements and you're connecting them together. Well, similarly in different industries, let's say you're taking a mental model from economics. If you apply that mental model from economics, let's say to chemistry in a novel way, you are creating a new idea. And in fact, most of the new ideas that we see are really old ideas joined together in an interesting or novel way, or they're old ideas sort of ported to the modern moment with modern context. So the thing that I want you to take away from this, right, is that it is actually easier to create ideas than you think. It's easier to create new things than you might think. Simply what you have to do is prime the pump or prime yourself with a catalog of old or personal ideas and then consciously look for connections between them. And that's, again, something I deal with extensively in Art of Mastery, which is at masterywithdan.com if you want to dig deeper into like actually how to do that. Now, in terms of capture, this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I was just thinking about this, like, I don't know how old you are, kind of when you got involved with computers or the internet, but you're watching me on the internet. Welcome. We're happy to have you here. Right. So I remember one of the first internet kind of app things that I really got excited about was Evernote. Evernote, I remember as being a mind-blowing, life-changing sort of revelation, because as someone with poor memory, my whole life I have had poor memory. I'm just kind of absent-minded and I never know what's going on. And like it made a seismic shift in how I thought about stuff, to say you can put any document, any file, sound file, take a picture, you can put it in this app, and then you can search it later. I mean, oh, that was amazing, amazing. And I'm still an Evernote user, and I've been a dedicated and paying Evernote user since the very beginning. I love Evernote. But the thing that really made Evernote special was that it was a form of capture, idea capture, that was going to be with me all the time because I always had my phone. Because idea capture as an idea has been around forever, right? I mean, it's a pad and notepaper, right? Like I was literally just reading in a book yesterday, JeanPaul Sartre, right? The famous existentialist philosopher and author, kept a lot of the notes for one of his books in this notebook that he just found on the on the train, right? He was like on the subway in Paris and found this like notebook, and he just kind of kept and take notes on it, and it had an ad for suppositories on it, right? It was just totally random. So it was like this idea of like you have a notebook with you and a pen with you all the time so you can capture your ideas and write them down. It's been around forever because we need to capture ideas. If you try to keep it in your head when you haven't, we all have these moments, whether it's when you're walking or you're in the shower or whatever, you're doing whatever, and wow, I have this moment of inspiration, this cool idea sort of popped up. You've got to write it down. You've got to get it down. It cannot stay in here. It's got to go somewhere. But the challenge for me was, I never remembered to have who has a notebook with them? I don't carry a purse or a bag all the time. I just never remember. I would start notebooks and I would forget them. So the promise of Evernote, right? And these kind of early apps was, it's a system of capture. It syncs online. It's in the cloud. You can search it. You could find it later. Well, Evernote's still amazing. It's still around, showing its age a little bit, I would say. I think it's hard to argue that it's not. But there are so many ways to capture ideas. There's Evernote. There's Roam, which is what I use pretty extensively now and kind of like my day-to-day processes and in my writing process for betterquestionsemail.com. Right? And I'm noticing that I'm actually gesturing to the thing over here the first time, which is amazing. I always go over here, but no, it's over here, betterquestionsemail.com. But anyway, the writing I tend to do in Rome. There's Google Docs. You could create a type form and send all your ideas into a type form, right? Or a gravity form or a Wufoo form or whatever it is. There's a really interesting app that I just started playing with yesterday called My Mind, which you can find at mymind.com. Interesting concept, right? There are a lot of these kind of second brain memory apps. Notion is another one. The main thing to keep in mind here is not the tool that you use, because again, it could be a notebook that you find on the subway, just like JeanPaul Sartre with a suppository ad on the cover. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that you pick a tool that works for you, that you can consistently capture your ideas in. And the kind of secondary, second order consequence of this, which I found, and I'm pretty sure you will find if you've been doing this or if you start doing this, the more you write down your ideas, the more ideas you start to have. So the more you start thinking of yourself as a creative person and start thinking of yourself as a person who comes up with new ideas, and you start writing them down and you start recalling them and looking back over them, the more ideas will start to appear to you. And again, to go back to where ideas come from, right? I don't think we're really creating ideas. I don't think we really make ideas at all. I think what we're doing is noticing ideas in the world. We're noticing connections that were always there, but maybe we, because of who we are and our personal history and the things that we know and the books that we've read and the people that we've talked to, maybe I were the only person on earth that could see that connection in exactly right way, in exactly that way, right? to me, this concept of this whole practice of coming up with ideas, it's a way of expressing something that is uniquely yours, your point of view, something that is only possible through this weird combination of biology and psychology and experience that is you. So for God's sake, write them down, because they may not all be good. I'm not saying they're all good. I'm not saying all ideas are great or need to go out in the world, or by all means. I only share like 1% of the crap I write down. But in there, in that notebook, that Evernote note, whatever it is, wherever you capture your ideas, in there, if you do this consistently, there's going to be something that everybody else really needs to hear, and it would be a shame to lose out on it. So I hope that you take that to heart. I hope that was helpful. I love you. Every week, betterquestionsemail.com. And if you're interested in mastery, I really believe in that program. We've had really great results with people. Masterywithdan.com. I will talk to you next week because it's Friday. Love you, and cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.